Hey, welcome to yet another episode of These Nuts.
Oh my word!
Got him. I've decided that was the name of the podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were just starting off with a dad joke or something.
No, I would have had another title that I liked conceptually and artistically, but every time I said the idea of These Nuts to people, it wasn't my idea. Somebody told me, and I can't remember now. Sorry if you were the person with the idea listening to this. Everybody laughs when I say These Nuts, so I can't.
You got to go for the laugh.
I gotta go for the
laugh. How do you spell
man.
D's though?
Well, with my last name.
Exactly.
Diez. Exactly. So it's Diez Nuts.
There you go. You're already on top of it.
We're here with Paul Deemer. Who? Where's this camera? Where's Paul's camera? There. All right. Yeah.
This old boy or that one? Far.
Yeah.
Far from him. Stage
Paul,
center.
Yeah. Ex-horn player on Kill Tony. Artist extraordinaire that I've been seeing all around town playing jazz and in different bands and collaborating with a bunch of artists.
Yes, sir.
And we became fast friends on the show, I think.
Absolutely.
So I'd love to have you here, man.
Thank you for the
Twin Towers. I mean, the one tower and then a long stick, I would say.
Okay.
I have a little bit less, I'm a little more fragile than you are, I think.
Well, they did end up,
falling.
Yeah.
All the towers fell. Yeah,
it's true. It's true.
That is true. So how has your you haven't been on the show for a long time now.
Thank you.
So what do it's good. It's a good thing. The show's on Netflix now. It's a great time to not be on it.
Props to that. That's cool.
It's very good. For them.
Becoming everything Tony was saying it was going to be at the very beginning when we were hanging out at the gallery upstairs during kind of after COVID, just after, but
Vulcan days or
yeah,
wow,
but still no one on South Congress. We would be, all those guys could go in at the gallery, Mark Norman, all the people, and it was just us. That was pretty cool. Those were pretty cool times.
And he was already envisioning all of this back then.
He was like, "It's gonna go there." He was just super excited, and but what's cool for me is I got to be there at that point, and it's never going to be like that again. There's it's always going to be mobs of people unless they make.
You were there, I think, for the peak part where it was for Kill Tony fans and not mainstream fans.
Yes.
So you were at the peak of it was a fun thing and not a job.
Right.
And not that I'm saying it's not fun still, but it's becoming this massive project now that's going to become a real company instead of an amateur concept.
Right. Yeah. Or exactly. We'll go with that for now.
Yeah, I mean, you can be very, very good at doing something the amateur way.
Yes.
But then when it becomes like a corporate thing that has to be run with, staff and HR, at some point it's going to get there.
It was kind of indie, right? There we go.
Indie. That's the right word. Yeah. No, it's not. If you're on Netflix, you can't call it an indie show.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That is done.
It's like an nuts. No.
It's like one of those indie bands, and then they sign for Sony or for whoever, and then you're like, well, yeah, okay, it's not.
They sold out.
You sold out.
You guys sold out.
They sold out to have everything they actually wanted and needed. So yeah.
Just pursuing dreams. But yes, that was fun.
Yeah.
And that's where we met.
Yeah.
And we locked eyes.
Yes.
And that was it.
And we fell in love. That was beautiful.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time for both of these nuts.
Yeah, dude. I love when people come on These Nuts. That's great. Have you here? So what we do on the show is have these card games that are designed for people to meet each other and get to know each other. I throw the cards in a bucket, and why don't you pick one and we get started. If you don't like it, put it back. If you feel uncomfortable or whatever. And if you like it, read it.
That'll help. What is the most unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you?
It's going to be hard to explain.
Right. Setting me up for failure.
Yeah.
This is life.
Do you remember anything that comes to mind immediately?
Well, I have a micro and a macro version.
All right.
The micro version is I have a Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
And I play Mario Kart on it.
Alone?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I gotta do the time trials, and then I gotta get 3 stars on all the levels, all this shit. But there's some levels, dude, where it's like, I feel like it cheats. So this is unexplainable.
What do you mean
It's
it cheats?
unexplainable. There's AI or you're at the end. You've been first the whole time, and then all of a sudden it's like 3 red shells, and then the leader shell, and then a barrage of green shells.
They don't want you to win.
Exactly that. Everyone's out to get me. So that's unexplainable to me in that moment. And then my controller is a little bent because.
Oh, I understand. I had that with Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I remember the first or the second one, and then I stopped playing. I think I still tried the Metallica version because my friend had it at his place. But at my place, I stopped at Guitar Hero 2 because I was finishing them in extreme mode. But I was just like, and then the button. But I had the same guitar, and by Guitar Hero 2, the buttons started to like. I mean, I guess it's explainable, but dude, in that moment, my guitar was taking damage. Like,
right?
Don't do this to me. Like, do not mess with my. I pressed the button on time.
Right.
Do not tell me I did not press the button.
Exactly.
But you were getting obstacles. Why is this harder now? Why is it not working?
Yeah. Lies. Shit would just appear, in my reality on that game. But okay, so that's the micro.
Okay.
Right.
Macro.
The macro, I guess.
Yeah.
There was one time I don't know if we talked about this before at Little Darlin', which is it's my favorite.
Shout out for Little Darlin' in Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Paul took me there and it's become my favorite bar in town.
Yeah, it's mine too. It's a safe space and we hang there when we can. But
we are never there. Don't come there to find us.
That's what I was like.
Do not come to Little Darling to find us.
And we're
never
barely there, so don't come. But when I was in middle school, I used to butt heads with my mom a lot. And one of those nights, it got, I guess, a little especially bad. And so I did the run away from home thing. I was super young. So at that point on our street, at the end of the street, it was just like cotton patches.
What city was this in?
This is in El Paso, Texas, everybody, on the west side. And so these, cotton fields rather, and they had already been plowed. So it was just the dirt wedges.
Oh, I see.
And so that was my running away at that point. I just went down the street and then laid in one of those wedges, and I was just fuming and pissed and all this shit. And then in the middle of my self-contained fury, this thing flies over me, hovers, no lights. It's not so high that it's some sort of plane and of course there weren't drones back then. And its movement was erratic. And it was kind of like orange-ish. Almost, it reminded me like a cone. It was nighttime, but I could see an orange aspect to it. And seeing, what is it, a UA something or an UFO, we'll use an old term, was nowhere. I wasn't out looking for UFOs. I wasn't thinking about them. I was pissed at my parents, dude, in middle school. I didn't give a, about that stuff. So that contrast that I saw that and that I was nowhere near the headspace to sits with me still all these years later.
Did it make you go back home?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was like, what is that? And I'm out of here. I'm going back. So that was I ran away from home for maybe 30 minutes.
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
You're a rebel for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I remember this one time I had in Europe, it was pretty common to get I was in a private school. You would do exchange programs for the summer or for some holidays with some British school. And so you would go to the UK, and then some families that had children at that school, kids at that school, would have us over. Okay. So I would stay with this family. They had a kid my age. And he was a savage. He was terrible. And this one time where he was super aggressive. I mean, he was fine with me. He was cool with me, but you could see he had a lot of personality problems. I was about 9, 10, something like that. And this kid, the mom serves a meal and there's sausage, and he was like, "Sausage! I don't want sausage, I hate sausage!" And he ran away. He left to the kitchen, went to some back street alley or something, and he started running. He didn't want sausage that bad that he ran away from home because there was sausage on his plate. And I was like, okay, I get it. I get being a kid and not liking your food, but it's to the point when you're running away, when you see it. I was like, I don't know what sausages he's seen. But
it's a little sus.
But it didn't feel like that at that time. I was just a 9-year-old kid thinking, this guy really hates sausage.
Yeah, dude.
And I like it when sometimes stuff happens to you that's good, but it's kind of crazy how things align and there's no explanation. Like in the opposite way. Like this one time I traveled to New York in 2019. I had just started doing comedy, and I went to New York on holidays. And I wasn't planning on performing or anything because I thought it was New York. I'm just an open micer. But I did go to the Cellar a lot just to see shows. And on the day that I landed in New York, not where I was staying, because I was at some Airbnb somewhere, but in other parts of town, there was a blackout.
Okay.
So the electricity went off, not where I was. I don't remember seeing it, but apparently it made the news and everything. New York, blackout, Manhattan, blah, blah. So I didn't see it.
That sounds familiar.
And I'm walking around a few days after, and I didn't know that Dave Chappelle was having a whole week of shows at some theater. I can't remember. I think in the Beacon, maybe not the Beacon. But I'm walking around, and I went to, I love to walk around New York. It's my thing as a tourist. And I had never really been to Harlem. So I went to Harlem during the day. And I'm walking back. I'm going back through the campus. And I'm like almost getting to that Times Square area. And I'm like, oh, well, if I'm going to pass by I'm near Times Square, I should turn left and see it, because it's a special thing as a European to be in New York in Times Square. So if I'm going to be nearby, I'm going to make a point of going and seeing it.
Sure.
If I'm 1 block away, it'd be stupid to not just stand there and enjoy it.
Right.
So I turn left, pass by the theater. I see the thing that says Dave Chappelle. I'm like, oh God, Dave Chappelle is doing a show. I was like, it's probably sold out, but maybe they have tickets. You never know.
Sure.
I walk in, the doors were open. It was daytime. What do you call it? The box office was open. There was barely any people there because I walk in and I said, "Do you guys have any tickets?" I was like, "Well, sold out, but because of the blackout, we have added another show, and we have tickets for this show." And I got great seats, kind of towards the front on the right. Bill Burr opened the show.
Wow.
I saw at the front there was like Busta Rhymes, Judd Apatow. Like I went and said hi to Judd Apatow.
Busta Rhymes.
It was just random. It was so random. Everything just lined up. Then I got to see that. I went back at the exit with my playbill. I had Dave Chappelle sign it.
There you go.
It's like little things that just boom, 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 boom. Just because I was there. And I decided to turn left.
Instead of...
Yeah. Like I decided to travel to Austin and sign up for Kill Tony. And here we are.
Right. That's true.
It's
Talking
just
about
little things.
Sausage and UFOs and Chappelle.
Yeah.
Bill Burr is a hero of mine. You know.
Is he?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I mean, it's just, you know, with him, the, this kind of like contradictory, our best leaders are the people who don't want to have anything to do with leading or being any sort of point of authority. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, you watch the latest thing that he did with was like, I'm not going to take the bait, basically. Yeah. Like, you guys need to grow some balls. And it's like, God, I want that guy. I'd love to have that guy in a position of authority, but the whole point is like, I'm not, I'm just a dancing clown. Yeah. So he's a hero because of this.
Oh, if he had to take decisions for us, I think this country would be doomed.
If any, that's the idea, is that if any one person,
the number of people who would be terminated physically would be incredibly high.
That's right. That's like a recurrent theme, right? Like the population problem. And
definitely a population control be put in place.
Yes. So.
Hey, this card was productive.
Yes, it was.
Do we have another one?
Are we ready?
I'm ready. Kinda. Oh, I don't know if you moved anything. Definitely trying. Oh, wow. Okay. Jesus. That was powerful.
You encouraged it. Okay, we have a different style of card, so it comes from a different game.
Let's go.
So it says...
This one is like an opposition thing, and it's like one concept A, concept B, and then you have to kind of like debate.
Okay.
You like more this or that?
Just kidding. Drive-in movies, a nostalgic night out, or is it like sitting in traffic?
Have you ever been to a drive-in?
I have.
More than once?
Yes.
And to watch a movie?
So I've been to 3.
Okay.
In Austin that I can remember.
With dates every time?
Oh, too small. I think so, every time with dates.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the first one that I remember, that was a fun. It was cool.
Okay.
It was sponsored through Alamo Draft House, and it was at this historic place on the east side. I forget what it's called, but it was more of a lawn thing. So it's not drive-in, but still the same vibe.
You were in a car, or you were just kind of picnic?
Picnic.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've done one of those.
It fits to me. It fits in there, and it was with my date.
Yeah.
This is funny.
I hope so.
But we watched that and it was cool, and we got like some cold cuts and stuff, or not cold cuts, like cured meats, we'll say.
Okay.
And she had some wine, and there was some cheeses and all that shit. And we had sausage.
Oh, good.
Good. And I just kept eating the sausage.
Oh no!
Just
was it spicy sausage?
Probably, yeah. I think it's
No.
slightly spicy, and I ate like 2 of them, and those you're supposed to like eat with, and mix it up, and not eat a whole bunch. Like I overdid it, Long story short, and but that's one of my experiences. The movie aspect was cool.
Mm-hmm.
My decision to eat a whole bunch of sausage backfired in multiple exits.
Multiple exits?
Yeah.
What multiple?
Multi-exit, yeah.
How do you end up with a multi-exit?
Well, you've got 2, ingoing and outgoing, but these were both outgoing, and there was a fire.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, there was an emergency. We had a code 4, but
So wait, so you're watching the movie and the emergency happens?
it was later. But she was with me.
Oh, later. So not while you were not in public in that venue.
No, but
No. But I mean, so at that point you have already left the.
I think I got sick at the end,
And you were already
I could feel it.
okay.
But then afterwards, we're sharing a bed and stuff. We're hanging out.
Oh, that later. Okay.
Yeah, but it's still in front of a witness.
Yeah. No, and
Not cool.
Was it your home?
Let me try to remember. I think so.
Okay, because
Yes.
it's better if it happens not at your home, I guess. I'm being very selfish.
Yeah, you want to have accidents on other people's sheets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not my problem.
Yeah, bye.
See you later.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry about that. I have to go.
I'm like a snail.
But so wow, okay. So I guess you were. Oh man, that's a tough one.
That's one. It's not quite drive.
Quick
drive
question.
in.
So
Go ahead.
this happens. Is there a second date?
Well, she was my girlfriend at the time.
Oh, okay. You
And
didn't
that
break
was-
up because of it.
There was a couple, man. In that no, we did
Okay,
not. She
that's-
was awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
Because if it was like a first date, that's or a second date, something like that, that's tough
No,
to recover from.
Well, and she, I'm pretty gassy. I think you know this.
Oh yeah, you burp a lot.
Yeah. And then the other
Shamelessly, by the way.
stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah. You could
Free
try to
speech.
contain it and be, free speech. Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
yeah.
eh?
Come on, freedom of expression.
Yeah.
This is America.
Yeah, this is what
Jesus
America voted
Christ.
for, okay?
Yeah,
It's free speech.
Exactly. That's what we died for. Fought and died.
Yeah, we're dying for the right to burp in public.
Yeah, and fart.
Very loudly, okay?
Yes, yes, throwing burps. But
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, I no. To me, I've never really been to a drive-in because they're not that available in Europe.
Right.
But every time I saw it in a movie, it felt like, what a hassle. I guess the cool thing is if you're on a date, you can make out in your car, kind
Sure.
of in private, but you and get some food, but you could just go and make out some in your car anyway.
Yeah, the Netflix and chill thing is
It's,
like
yeah.
a way better version of that specifically.
Mm-hmm.
The other time I went, it was kind of rinky dink, and I'm not going to name any.
No, don't name.
Yeah. But it was just, it's like I went with my friend, and we were like, so that one wasn't a date. We were just buds.
Okay.
And we were like, we could have just this. It looks like someone went to like Walmart and got a projector, and then also got like Halloween candy and they're just like overcharging for everything. And you paid them on Venmo, and you go and sit there, and it's on this kind of like homemade shit, and it was windy too. So we're just trying to watch this movie, and it's just like billowing, and we're just like, what a waste. So it depends on what kind of commitment or effort or funds they put into their.
I had this thing where I went, that was not long ago. It was this last summer, I think, towards the end of the summer. But in Brussels, they did this thing where they were having a little festival outdoors, kind of like this picnic thing. They had like beach chairs, and so you could sit outside and watch the movie on outdoors. But I made so many. I went with a friend And it was just, I misjudged how cold it was going to get at night. I was just freezing.
Oh, that sucks.
And but the movie was riveting. It was this French movie about a murder mystery where you didn't know exactly if the person had did it to himself, if it had just been a random accident, because it's the story of a person falling out of a window and nobody knows why he fell out of the window. And they're starting to talk to a bunch of different people and witnesses that were there. And his kid is blind. So he was there, but he's trying to recall what he heard. And it's kind of wild, you know? And he's got like a bunch of stuff around the house to remember which room he's in, like things he can touch with textures on different rooms. But it looks like people have moved them. So he's uncertain because they just moved into that house. It's how they're refurbishing the houses. And it was just such a sad thing. So you're riveted by this thing, but freezing, and you can't go anywhere. And it's just getting progressively colder. And I didn't bring enough food, and I didn't bring enough to drink. And I was just like, I completely misunderstood what this is going to be.
Was this with, you said it was with a friend, just like a buddy?
No, it was a friend that I wish would have been a date, but it's a friend.
Got you. It was
but it was a friend. It was already, that had already happened prior to us choosing to go to that movie. So at that point, we're friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
The date didn't go anywhere. Happened already like over a year ago. So that's no big deal.
Frigid.
Huh?
The day or the movie was frigid.
Yeah, well, it was. Yeah, it was definitely cold, man. It was.
Yeah.
But we had fun. It was nice. But yeah,
sounds like that whole thing sounds like a Rick joke setup.
Yeah, I you know what?
Out the window, a blind kid.
Dude, yeah. It does sound like a joke. I definitely want to just watch movies at home now or at the cinema. We've gone to see. Oh, dude, we went to see Nosferatu together.
Yeah, I
watched 10 minutes of that movie, the beginning and the end.
Yeah, because you fell asleep.
I fell asleep so hard.
Yeah.
And then and wake up, and there's this terrifying adult scene at the end, and that's what I wake up for. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I'm awake now.
That was funny. Yeah, you were nodding off.
Yeah.
Pretty consistently, and it was kind of like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was very
comfy, exactly.
And I felt in safe hands. I knew I was with a friend that wasn't going to judge me and make fun of me too hard for falling asleep.
No.
And wasn't going to care.
I give you a little kiss, 2 little dots on your neck there afterwards.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And that's what that was.
Yeah.
Okay. You had room. It's easy.
Yeah, I was hungry.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why you're so thin. I took all your nutrients.
Yeah, all my nutrients get vampired out once a month.
Yeah.
What do they call them? Not the companion. What's the name for the people that are the human companions of the vampires?
Oh shoot! It's like a henchman or person or whatever.
Yeah, they have a name.
But yeah.
Do you know that, Justin?
Igor. No, that's
Thralls, ghouls,
familiars.
Familiar. That's right.
Yeah, I'm your familiar because people call me.
That's
a vampire.
right. Yeah, you're like my sustenance.
I look like the vampire and the familiar. That is true.
I dig this.
That's a joke I can do later.
There you go. I'm down.
All right, I'll try to say that on stage one day. Oh my God, pick another card, man.
So
let's go.
You want
me to pick one?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I like the
you like to share
the taking turns. It reminds me of like being on tour or playing music.
Oh yeah, you're a jazz player. You guys take turns a lot. All right, let me take one of the rant ones.
Let's trade.
Let's put this in the middle. Ooh, good question. Because I'm actually conflicted about this.
Please.
Queso is the perfect appetizer.
Queso why?
Queso.
Oh, okay.
Queso is the perfect. I guess it's that cheesy sauce with the nachos.
Is the perfect. What's the last word
appetizer.
They use? Appetizer. No, yeah, but there's no like. It's just yes or no.
No, we
I
can
agree
rant.
or disagree.
My opinion on queso is it's delicious. I want it. It feels completely unhealthy, and after I'm done with that, I can't eat anything else. So it's not an appetizer to me.
Okay.
It ends up being my meal, and I feel disgusting after.
Appetizer. That's an interesting.
Well, you order it first, and then you have your burritos or nachos or whatever you're having. Right?
Hopefully, everything's an appetizer, though. Like an appetizer should be appetizing, right? Well, shouldn't everything be appetizing? Like that's
and it's also not always appetizing. You're like, I'm eating this melted cheese It's delicious. I also hate myself,
Yeah,
but I
there
need
you go.
more. It's disgusting, but I need more.
Yeah.
I really shouldn't be doing this.
It's like the sausages, that I was.
Yeah,
wow.
the sausages.
Whoa.
You got there. I didn't get
yeah.
you there.
Yeah,
That
I
was
did.
on you.
That's true.
And-
I'm a multi-instrumentalist.
Yes, and also Queso can end up in a multi-hole situation.
There you go. Exits, but never mind.
So how many instruments do you think you can play to a level where you
It's like
could play a
appetizer.
song in a okay way? Not a professional grade level.
I think all of them
All of
that I
them?
play. Like I think I could do a drum story arc that would feel complete.
So
Right.
you do percussion, strings,
No,
piano.
I don't do strings yet.
Ah,
That's my the bane. That's my kryptonite, kind of. But I've
Okay.
got a electric bass that I'm going to start in on.
okay. So you're
But-
gonna start.
Yeah, it's hanging up on the wall.
How long has it been hanging on that wall?
A long
A
time.
long time. Yeah, that sounds like the drum set I used to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started during COVID. I was going to do like piano, drums, and trumpet. And
Yeah.
then it all just became trumpet because that's the nature of these instruments as far as demand, especially at the beginning. Accessibility, brass is a bitch. It's the hardest out of all of them, in my opinion, with the exception of maybe some double reeds or whatever. But
What's a double reed?
like a bassoon or an oboe,
Okay.
those are hard. Clarinets are hard too, but for different reasons. The brass is just so physically, it's an enigma, and it's painful when you haven't solved it yet. Which is
So there's less people playing that.
there's less people
So-
playing
and the-
trump. Yeah, I would say so.
So it's easier to get a gig if you play that than if you play strings, for example.
Well, so when I talk about accessibility, when people, and you can kind of see this, there's two things I like to bring up in this
Okay.
context. One, you can get anybody, a baby, you put them next to a piano and they hit their little sausage arm on a key and the note's in tune. It's got good tone, right?
Oh, accessibility of the instrument. Okay.
So if you
Yeah.
hand just a random, not a baby in this case, but
Yeah.
just a non-musician, a trombone or a trumpet, they can't just press something on it and it just is in tune, good tone, pitch, all that, right?
Yeah.
So that's not to say that one's better or harder in a way than the other.
It requires some commitment.
The entrance, the access part. So like when people are like, you know what, I'm going to learn a new instrument. They're not typically aren't like, the trombone. It's usually guitar.
But guitar hurt
drums.
my hands. I was trying once, and
That's
and
true.
actually it hurt my hands so bad I just couldn't do it.
You do have to build up some calluses. That's
Mhm.
true. That's very true. That's a great point.
But would
Our
you say
calluses on our face. Though.
what would you say takes more time to be able to build those calluses on a guitar, or to understand how to blow into a trumpet or a trombone?
I think you can get. They're both of them. Beginning, all the stages take time and dedication and repetition.
Do you have to do face exercises to
Absolutely.
develop muscles? Or?
With a guitar, you have you start learning chords.
Yeah.
Right. So it's 3-4 note units. Right. And you'll learn a song. Right. And you can learn a song within a month. Even if it's just 3 chords, that's so many of our pop tunes, right?
Yeah.
So now, like say you stop by after a month of me playing guitar, and I have chikadana, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Nirvana.
Okay.
It's a classic one. You're like, oh yeah, that's Nirvana. It sounds like a song. There's chords, whatever. It feels somewhat complete.
Yeah. You can sing, and then you play that, and then you have a song.
Right, assuming that the person has some form of affinity or talent at the guitar. The same amount of work on a trumpet, you'll get maybe like a scale, and like the one does not, as far as the outsider,
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's like, what is that? That sounds sad,
Yeah.
So maybe that kind of explains a little bit the difference in the two as well.
And maybe the drums is also kind of like that. You're like, okay, you're banging on the drums,
Yeah,
but there's no melody.
there's no. Well,
You know,
there
I mean,
isn't. Yeah, generally, yeah.
You know what I mean.
I do.
There's
Exactly.
and you can't really move around if you have it at home. It's not like it's easy to. Hey, let me just come to
That's
this
right.
party with my drum set and go try to
Press the
impress a
chicks.
girl with my.
Yeah. Boom, psh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, but drums are cool. You got a whole orchestra in front of you. They're
do.
loud.
hmm
And people do once you can learn. Yeah, you can learn a rock beat within probably a week. Dun, ga, dun, dun, ga. Everyone
that's
recognizes
easy, yeah.
that, you know. But
I have a question. In your experience growing up around band members who play all sorts of instruments, aside from the obvious guitar, because that's just too obvious, which instrument gets the more girls?
Oh.
And is it related to the instrument consistently? There's data that supports that? Or at the end of the day, the instrument doesn't matter and it's the man behind the instrument?
So, yeah. So with these kind of questions, there can be like a surface level answer, but then there's also like my overthinking answer.
Overthinking.
Overthinking.
Here we are.
Oh boy, I'm just right. So the surface level, then of course tromboниsts or brass players get the most chicks, right?
Do they?
Well, then that leads me to the other one, right? So
are we more in a jazz context, or are we more in any kind of music context here?
I think women are attracted to talent.
Okay.
And I think they're attracted to, this is, totally one-sided, my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They're also attracted to like, some would call it confidence, right? But it's more like comfort, like you feeling comfortable in your skin with yourself as you are, who you are. And that comes out on your instrument, how you hold it, how you hold yourself, like the way you're playing. And that's not specific to any instrument. So if those things are there, it doesn't matter if it's guitar, bass, a singer, harmonica, even trombone. You think trombone would be like at the bottom, but if you just have these things, you're good to go.
Oh, so that's why nothing is working. Because even when I'm on stage in front of thousands of people, I'm still talking about wanting to off myself. Yeah. Just be confident saying that, right?
Yeah.
Just look happy and excited. Hey guys.
Yeah. What's up? I love myself. Yeah, I don't know about that. Jack off yourself.
All right. It's your turn to pick one.
Okay. I think I'm good on that one.
Oh, okay. Put it back in if you don't want it.
Okay. Well, I don't want to pick it again.
No, but put it back in on the side somewhere. I might pick it.
Whatever.
If you don't like it, it's fine.
Nope.
No. Oh my God. Okay. Jesus. A lot of trauma is happening right here.
They're just kind of trite ones.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Stop and smell the roses versus he who hesitates is lost.
He who hesitates is lost. I'm totally lost then. What are you talking about? If you don't hesitate, you're not thinking about all the options. You're not thinking about all the...
Yeah.
If you're not, then you're dumb. I mean, I get that you have to go for things, but you should hesitate a little bit.
There should be a combination, right? Of hesitation to like think about some shit maybe, and then like pull the trigger.
I definitely over hesitate and not pull the trigger. Definitely with when I like a girl, I over hesitate a lot.
Yeah. The overthink. Yeah.
I remember I was in a town for a show, and there was an after show, and this is recent, and there was this bartender who was so cute. Like, so cute.
They always are.
And she had green eyes that were just shining bright. And I was just like, oh my God. And I asked her name. And then she said, and she was very, very, I'm not saying she was flirting with me because she was a bartender. So of course she's nice. But I mean, she seemed open for discussion. Like she was like, she didn't have like an antagonistic attitude. Mm-hmm. She seemed open to conversation, right? Like she had a welcoming demeanor.
Right.
And I was just, oh. And I just walked out. I just got my Coca-Cola, and I just walked on and said, thank you. Like, pew. I'm going to exit this because I'm completely intimidated by those eyes, and I wouldn't know what to do with them.
He who hesitates is lost.
Well, I was lost.
Yeah. Lost in her green eyes.
Lost in her green eyes.
I feel like we're all lost. So like, he who hesitates is lost. And this is something that we've talked about and I've been thinking about a lot recently. There's some truth to that, right? Like you want to seize a moment, right? All this, we've already kind of covered that. But to me, when I read this, and it's in the eye of beholder, of course, it feels like there's some sort of rush or race here. He who hesitates is lost. And it reminds me of like this shit that people it starts, and again, I've been fixated on this, so this is probably why I'm going here. But it starts to remind me of like a rat race, and then from there, it starts to remind me of, oh, we got to get numbers, and we got to be famous, and we like at all costs, even if it means not acknowledging the humanity of people around me. So he who hesitates is lost. Oh, I better seize that moment at the expense of this person here. I don't give a fuck now because I need to get in connection. I need to get connected with this famous person or whatever, you know?
Yeah, we just got confronted with one of those moments recently where we were put in a situation to take a decision very fast.
Sure.
And the decision should be yes.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, all the people that were having to face the situation was a collective decision situation. We all said yes, but we all knew that we had to put a straight face and say yes. Okay. When in fact, because you want to do the thing, but in fact, you're thinking about all the outcomes, how this affects your relationships with the other guys. It's like, you know, when they ask if you're in the UFC and they say, oh, are teammates willing to fight each other or not? And you can see some of them are like, well, it's business and we know it's going to happen and it's a part of it. And if the opportunity comes, I'll go in and I'll fight my buddy. And we've been training partners. We've already punched each other. We don't care.
Sure.
And then there's other teams who are like, no, we're teams. We're hanging out. Our families know each other. We're friends. We're like, we support each other. I don't want to punch this guy. I don't know what I'm going to do to him. And I don't, you know, we don't have that thing where we can just separate.
Right.
So it's entertainment can be like that sometimes where you're all friends. You support each other. You're on road gigs together. But then suddenly, maybe, I don't know, maybe a manager starts talking to you, but not to your friend. Or some booker comes talk to you and not your friend, or the other way around. And it's like, well, am I jealous that it's happening to the other guy? I can't really share the opportunity. Can I share the opportunity? Can I drop his name? You try, they're not interested. Or, you know, like, it's... But you have to seize the moment because you have to grow your own career.
Well,
I don't know. It
depends.
Pass it up
like what
or not. I don't know. It depends. It's
like you're saying, though. You're alluding to it, or it seems like I'm picking this out from what you're saying a little bit. Like what? Hopefully, I mean, again, there's an implied form of urgency here, right? Because who hesitates? But what moment are you picking? You know, because all these moments will influence, you know, the following moments, and obviously you don't want to get lost in that. But I think I mentioned this to you too. One of my friends said, you know, at the end on my deathbed, I'm not going to be sitting there like wishing I got more famous or had more followers. Like, and it's not for me when I think about this. It's not even going to be like a choice that, oh, I guess I'm at the end of my rope now or whatever. So I better think about my past, right? I think it's going to happen just like naturally. I'll just be laying there rather, and my mind's going to wander there. And where it's going to go is my connections, like not like industry but like my spiritual in a way, we'll say, right? With the people in my life, my friends, right? Over the years, like that's where my mind's going to go back. And I think that kind of plays into this. What moment are you picking? What's that going to look like looking back? These decisions, this stuff, whatever, you know, perspective really.
And by the way, Justin, you know, mark the time, just to, because I was, you know, this last weekend I got to, you let me know if it's okay to discuss or not, but I was talking with Carlos Sosa, who is, you know, in that horn band who is now playing on Kill Tony. And we were talking about other stuff, and it came into conversation because he was talking to somebody else about how he felt when you left Kill Tony, and then he was brought in.
Sure.
And he was like, it was to him, it happened at different times. He wanted to make sure, he was like, this guy was great. Like he wanted to preserve the relationship. Sure. But I want to do this thing.
Right.
And he was talking about that thing. Yeah, I want to seize this opportunity at the same time. You know, there's a. Yeah. He didn't want you to think that he tried to take something from you and make sure the relationships were preserved. Those are moments where, of course, everybody should hesitate.
It gets tricky for sure in these areas, and I think this is where like EQ comes into play, and musicians and comedians for sure lack this because
Yeah.
of coming from a broken background, right?
Of
So many
course.
of them, right?
Yeah.
And you have like these
It's
examples,
just nerdy people obsessing with playing an instrument.
or
Yeah.
nerdy people obsessing with language and social interaction and funny, right? But the examples that they had oftentimes as kids were a parent, right? If it's a broken home, or just some like poor examples. So this idea that people can just communicate, hey, Paul, before I know this is happening, and I'm not saying Carlos did or didn't do this or should or shouldn't have. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Of course.
But Carlos and I are friends, and we've actually done that, like had these discussions before. So
good.
we're cool. Where it's like, hey,
it seems like that.
what did this mean when this happened? Like before we just jump to a conclusion and like go on some tirade or whatever. Like there's some communication there.
That's a beautiful thing.
You start with face to face first and ask, hey, what did you mean by this shit? But
But that's a good thing. That means if you want to seize the moment or not. It's also what are the consequences. So if you hesitate a little bit,
what does that moment mean?
And you take a few steps to do it the right way, it facilitates the decision for sure.
Well, it's interesting. You know, I seized a moment in a way to get on Kill Tony.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, the right beforehand, it was that period, right? This kind of after COVID, all the work had dried up for horn players, especially. And so I was about to get evicted. Like I was struggling. But luckily, you know, John was kind enough to ask me to like sit in on and hang out at Kill Tony. And he did a couple of times. And like the latter of those, the latest one, Tony was like, man, like you got to keep coming. Like he told me to keep coming. And eventually he would like occasionally throw me $100 bill. But for the most part, I was doing it for free and I loved it. And I didn't know what it was, but he told me to keep coming. So finally, in this period where this like eviction's happening, like money's rough, I'm doing DoorDash. Like I get offered a job somewhere else. It's kind of garbage. Not garbage. It's just not ideal for me.
Yeah.
But it conflicts with Kill Tony, like the time.
Oh.
So one of these nights where we're at, you know, the gallery, I'm like, it just occurred to me, Tony's in front of me and he's, you know, just dreaming about the show. Oh, we're going to do this, that, and the other. And man, we love having you here. You're a blessing or whatever. He's just so over the top with it. And it felt nice. It was nice of him to do that. So I thought to myself, well, shoot, I'm having fun. Tony seems to like having me on there. I'm going to seize a moment.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, listen, Tony, here's my situation. Don't have like I'm money struggling, have this job offer, not super thrilled about it. I love this. Can we make this into a job or whatever? Like, is this something that, are you willing to do that? You know, question, not a demand or an entitlement. Yeah. And he was like, fuck it, you're on. Like he was gung ho about it. And then was like, I'll hook you up with this, that, like these people, like we'll get you in the system, et cetera, et cetera. So I seized that moment.
Well, you should have.
Sadly, because things at that point, like lines of communication with everybody on the team, in the band, you know, were so in disarray that part of the story never was communicated to anybody else in the band. So what I experienced coming after that was from these guys, among many things, was a confusion as to like why I'm still there. And no one asked either. This is the IQ or EQ part, where it was more like behaviors and things that happened. And then later on, after I was let go, let's just clear the record. I didn't leave. I was let go.
I don't necessarily want to. That's for you. If you want to discuss it, if it's public record or it's fine. That's for you guys, you know.
I think it's innocuous. Yeah, but there was just some confusion there, right? Okay. So when you brought that up, it was like, yeah, I seized a moment. And then there were some things that happened. And it's kind of just a gray area, right? It's not like, well, this should have happened. This should have happened. Maybe later on.
And then in between that, then you got the job teaching music or?
No, I've been teaching music, you know, for like 10 years plus. But during the summer, there's no teaching. Oh. And the teaching that I do is adjunct. So it's not, it's kind of like ancillary. It's on the side.
It's not like the status is a little lesser status, contractually speaking?
It's, I guess. It's like, it's not full-time, no benefits. It's just you kind of go in there and teach lessons.
Yeah, we have kind of the similar situations back at my old job where some people had a certain type of contract. Some people have another type of contract. Some people have another type of contract. But as far as general people understand it, you're all kind of doing the same job. But yet somehow this guy has way more privilege than this guy. They're doing the exact same work kind of thing. And you don't really know why. But those are difficult things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the system that's set up there, and it is what it is. But so at moments of the year, I can get by month. But then, of course, with COVID, that changed my school hours, all this stuff, right? But, back to the Kill Tony thing, if that's cool. Are we cool to go here?
It's cool, yeah, as long as it's cool for you.
Of course it is.
I'm definitely somebody who sees the moment on Kill Tony, so,
We both are. I mean, and that's part of, like, one of my points here, too. When after all this happened, and apparently it rubbed some folks the wrong way, that with the information that they had, that all of a sudden I was there, right, on this show.
And I get sense, though. Yeah.
Yeah, so that, like, but, when I was watching the roast of Tom Brady, what did Tony do at the end of the...
He sees the moment.
He sees the fucking... a moment.
Yeah.
And he sat up there, and then so I'm just like, it's just kind of interesting what kind of... Just the nuances, the gray areas, just happenstance.
I personally think that Tony sees that moment at that Trump rally.
Okay.
That's my way of seeing things. People criticize him so much for what he said. But when it happened, as it was happening, in my head, I was like, he's going to get so much publicity for this. Right. So I don't know how much was voluntary that he wanted to like, or he wanted to just please people and do his jokes. I don't know. I don't have a conversation with him. But regardless of whether it was the consequences were on purpose or not.
Right.
What's sure is he's definitely got headlines out of it.
Yeah.
So he definitely went hard on the jokes to try and get some headlines.
That's seizing a moment.
I don't think he wanted backlash, but he definitely wanted a moment.
Yeah.
You have this chance. I need to make the most out of it. So you're in that Galleria at a moment when you're struggling to pay rent. Right. There's a guy that the boss loves you, have you around. You're not gonna call to all the employees of a boss to see if the boss wants to hire you. Right. Hey, do you have an opening? Because I'd love to work here.
Well, actually,
then
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, like I've never. Every job I've ever applied to, I've never asked if the other colleagues if they were cool with me coming in.
Right.
I'm applying for a job. I'm talking to the big boss here. Hey, do you have a job opening?
I felt that the idea popped to me in my head in that moment. So and he was there and everything seemed ripe.
Yeah.
But leading up to that though, I would inquire with like Mikey or whoever, like, hey, like what do you think they would open up and Mikey specifically was like, yeah, Papa, right? Like, oh, we're looking for more sponsorship. That's going to happen. So having that kind of feedback leading up to that moment, right? Like, I felt like it wouldn't be an issue to seize that kind of moment. It's like he's kind of assuring me that it's not off the table at the very least. So there's some context things there that I felt were green lights that might not have been. I might have misread them, but it's just life, man. So yeah,
work is complicated.
It is.
We got a lot out of that card.
Yeah. Well,
we have time for a last one.
We didn't even get to the stop and smell the roses, but I think that's self-evident.
I love roses, by the way.
You do?
Yeah, but not with thorns. I like the pink ones more than I like the red ones. I think the red ones are tacky, but that's a separate conversation.
Really?
Yeah, I hate the red ones. They're generally too dark. They generally have a little really like dark area on them because they're a bit too old. I feel the pink ones age better than the red ones.
Okay. Are the pink ones like organic or
I don't know. There's different colors of roses. You have yellow roses, pink roses.
Well,
red
they have
roses.
those dyed ones or whatever.
Oh yeah, the purple ones.
Yeah, and they're like orange.
Oh yeah. No, put them back.
I will.
Not all of them. The ones that you didn't read.
Oh,
please, sir. All right, one last one.
Okay. God, so I picked the two that I.
He's reading the card. He's examining the card.
Put it back.
Put it back.
God damn it.
Oh my God, he's in a total panic mode. He wasn't ready for this.
This is a good one.
All right,
I like it.
Let's go for it.
If you have, when was the moment you realized you weren't invincible?
The moment I wasn't invincible. Ooh, that's such a good question.
Yeah, that's a nice one. One of my favorite topics.
Oh, I've had so many of those moments.
Yeah.
I would say physically. Yeah, physically was. But that's for another day. That's a story for another day. I keep that for for when I get a guest spot one day if I make it into a big podcast. But definitely like trauma moments where we're almost passed.
Were you almost passed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like big accidents and stuff, and you're like, oh wow, I can't believe I made it out of this. We have no control over our life.
Right.
But in terms of my ego, I would say Kill Tony definitely,
Yeah.
definitely hit hard. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I was just thinking that.
It didn't feel good at all in the moment. Now I'm like, okay, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's how you. Also at work, when I was working at the office, I've had a bunch of times where you're like, I can get away with this, and sometimes you get humbled.
Sure.
There's people that I've often underestimated how devious and smart they were. And I thought I had an edge, and I absolutely did not have an edge.
Yeah.
They were 1,000 steps away from
Wow.
further along than me. And so what it taught me was stop playing games, just do your thing to a reasonable extent, and then you don't have to face any of these conversations.
There you go.
None of this happens.
Right.
Because they don't need to be ahead of you.
Right. You nailed it. Yeah, that's it.
Just live by the moment in an incremental progress without any too much trying to manipulate the system.
Yeah.
You don't have to face people who are smarter than you.
Right. Right. And that to me ties into what we were just talking about a little bit. But yeah, that's and you'll start attracting people who think similarly to you, where it's not just about the game, where it's like maybe it's about the larger game, whatever, right? That we're not invincible, that there's death, right? That determination is inevitable.
Yes, sir.
So,
and on that note, thank you for coming on these nuts.
That's it. Oh, no.
Thank you. It was a great ending, man. Thank you for coming, Paul.